My name's Scott Adamson. I'm the Global Brand Ambassador at Tomatin Distillery, so it's my job to travel the world telling people about the Tomatin Highland Single Malt range and also our Quaich Highland Single Malt range. And those are the two the two brands of whisky that I'll be showcasing at Whisky Journey later this year. When I'm not on the road doing that, I'm also active at the distillery in the cask selection and blending team. So if you've got any questions about that, I look forward to answering them and sharing a dram at Whisky Journey later in the year. I was born and raised in the Highlands of Scotland. That's where I am right now. So whisky has very much been around me my entire life. In fact, if I walk 5 minutes in that direction, I will be at Dalmore Distillery. And if I walk 5 minutes in that direction, I'll be at Tinninich Distillery. But I think, as we have a tendency to do, we overlook the things that are right on our doorstep. So growing up, I never paid much attention to whisky. It was only really when I was at university studying Scottish history that I started to have an interest in whisky. Scotch whisky is obviously a very, very big part of our history as a country. And it was at that time that I was asked to work at Tomatin Distillery. And when working there and seeing the passion and the skill of the people making and representing the whisky, that's when I've really started to fall in love with the whisky category as a whole, and it's become my life since then. Well, growing up in the north of Scotland, a bottle of whisky was never far away. I certainly had experiences of whisky in my youth, but I wouldn't call them necessarily enjoyable experiences. I certainly wasn't ready for it at the time. But about 10 years ago was when I had my first memorable whisky moment, and it was in a bar just along the road there. A close friend of mine had come home from university, and we went to go and get a drink, and we ordered a beer and a whisky. That's how a lot of whisky is drunk in Scotland. We call it a half and half. A glass of whisky and a glass of beer together. And I remember the whisky tasting incredible, but what I remember more about that was the way that the whisky brought everyone in that bar together that night. It's why I think things like Whisky Journey are incredible. Whisky is bringing everybody together, so I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you there.